Marketing in 2025 is wild. Savvy customers spot fake messaging instantly, privacy changes make ad targeting a nightmare, and everyone needs more content than ever. That's why you have to check out HubSpot's new marketing trends report. It doesn't just show you what's changing, it shows you exactly how to deal with it. Everything's backed by research, but focused on marketing plays you can use tomorrow. You ready to turn marketing hurdles into results? Go to clickhubspot.com/marketing to download it for free. All right, good morning, everybody. Today is Wednesday, March 26th. I'm John Weigell here with Mark Dent, and this is the Hustle Daily Show. Buy now, pay later company Klarna has been making deals left and right in advance of its IPO. The most peculiar deal, though, is with DoorDash. Are we in such dark times that people need to pay for their burrito bowl in 3 installments, or is there a deeper issue here at the center of the rise of these buy now, pay later apps? We'll chat about that in a bit, but first, let's give you the news in business and tech. First off, we start off with the blast from the past. Napster, the music swapping service originally launched in 1999, just got acquired for $207 million. Yes, that is in 2025 right now. Known for letting users swap their songs for free, Napster was just snatched by Infinite Reality, a 3D tech company creating virtual music spaces in the metaverse, of course. While Napster's original business model shuttered in 2001, it's been resurrected as a streaming platform since 2016. Mark, what an odd pickup here, but an interesting one.
Yeah, I find it hard to believe that an entity that most people didn't even realize still exists should be purchased for $207 million. But I could be wrong. You know, perhaps this will end up being great. But it also just strikes me that the idea of Infinite Reality here, which, by the way, owns the Drone Racing League. Oh, yeah. If anyone's ever heard of that.
Yeah, I've seen clips of it. It looks actually quite exhilarating.
Yeah, I've actually seen one in person. Oh, it is kind of fun.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Anyway, their ideas, at least based on the reporting, to me, it just seems like exactly like what Spotify is trying to do. Like with, the new Spotify Premium, helping people get concert tickets easier and buy things, etc. This doesn't sound like it's going to be much a differentiator from what's already out there and vastly more popular.
Yeah, I wonder what the application of Napster will be in the metaverse, because if you're looking for a streaming service, there seems to be a better crop to choose from, but maybe this company did not want to shell out the money for like an Apple Music collaboration or something. So this could be second or third choice. Yeah, I'm not sure how this will work, but we'll see.
And it also assumes that the metaverse is going to be a thing and be popular.
Exactly. So,
which is an assumption.
Still waiting on that. Yeah. Next, Waymo has its sights on Washington, D.C. as its next robotaxi city, launching Waymo One ride-hailing in 2026. Optimistic, considering the company has to change the city law prohibiting autonomous vehicles without safety drivers first. So, Mark, we have Waymo breaking into the East Coast for the first time, it looks like.
Yeah, making some progress. I think that Waymo and the other autonomous vehicles over the last 2-3 years have finally made the strides that people thought they'd make, several years ago. You're right that Washington, D.C. has municipal laws, and as do other cities and even some states regarding having a safety driver for autonomous vehicles. But if you go back to 2013, 2014, whenever it was that Uber and Lyft launched, everywhere, most big cities, they didn't allow that either. And they just launched.
Exactly.
They just did it. So I'm really interested to see if Waymo is going to go the slow route and really try to get DC to change its laws, or if it's just going to perhaps one day do what Uber and Lyft did and just go rogue.
It could. I mean, a Google-backed company, so it definitely has funds to blow. It has a way to fight these sort of regulations. So I agree with you. I think it's kind of only a matter of time before these regulations are lifted, but got to get into the market first, I guess. And in some more car news, BYD isn't the only Chinese EV company gaining traction lately. Xiaomi, another competitor in the space that also makes phones and other tech, just raised $5.5 billion in stock sales to expand its EV business arm. The company reported an almost 50% increase in its Q4 revenue and raised its target for EV sales to 350,000 units from 300,000 units. Good for them. Speaking of China, Apple just invested another $99 million in renewable energy there. This is an effort to support the company's goal for a 100% renewable energy supply chain by 2030. And finally here, OpenAI released updates for advanced voice mode AI voice feature that enables real-time conversations with ChatGPT. The updates make the assistant more personable and less likely to interrupt users when they pause. So some etiquette added there.
So, if you're listening to this podcast, you are more than likely thinking about business ideas. Every entrepreneur has a million ideas vying for attention in their brain, and there's probably that one idea you can't stop thinking about. You know, the one that came to you at 2 a.m. that you got up and wrote down somewhere. Well, I'm here to tell you that that idea could be worth $5,000 right now. The Hustle and Indie Hackers are teaming up to find the next great founder and get them started with $5,000. All you got to do is record a 60-second video pitch telling us your business idea, how it makes money, and why it's awesome. One winner gets $5,000 cash plus promotion to millions of Hustle readers. Make sure you enter by April 4th at thehustle.co/bigbreak. That's thehustle.co/bigbreak. You can also click the link in the show notes of this episode. The winner will be announced on April 11th right here on the Hustle Daily Show, the Hustle newsletter, and on the Hustle's social accounts. Now get to pitching.
And on to our main story today. DoorDash has partnered with Klarna, the buy now, pay later app. So Mark, can we talk about what happened here and how this all came together?
Yeah, I mean, so the gist is a couple of days ago, DoorDash and Klarna announced this partnership that people could use Klarna, the buy now, pay later app. You usually pay in like 3 or 4 installments or something like that for something you purchase on the internet. They're going to bring this to DoorDash. And it's for DoorDash orders that are only for $35 or more. So it's not like you can literally just buy like a hamburger or something at McDonald's. Mm-hmm. But it immediately triggered like a sort of backlash / just meme fest on the internet.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I think recession indicator has been a really popular tag on TikTok over the last week or two. This was like the ultimate. I mean, just hearing this news just strikes me as, if we are in fact going to be headed for a severe recession, the documentary that comes out on Netflix a few years later, or like the Adam McKay movie that's like about this recession, the opening scene is going to be about somebody who went broke buying too many Jimmy John's sandwiches through buy now, pay later, I think.
Yeah, completely correct. I've enjoyed the backlash. I've enjoyed the memes. Seems like to me, it is quite a big deal that Klarna is partnering with businesses like DoorDash. Last week, they partnered with Walmart as they inch closer towards an IPO. I would like to point out, though, that Klarna is only one of the available payment methods on DoorDash. It is still credit card payment, Venmo payment. You could pay any way you want. Klarna is just a new way to pay. But I do agree that this is quite a big recession indicator. Can we just talk about also buy now, pay later apps? Because there's been such a rise in them and Klarna's been doing so well among other companies. What are they doing? How are they doing?
They're doing pretty well. Emily Stewart at Business Insider broke this down really well and reported that the total value of loans for BNPL has gone from $2 billion to $24 billion to $34 billion over the last few years. So, I mean, you're talking just a huge gain.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, Klarna, of course, is one of the big players. One thing worth mentioning, though, is that they are considering an IPO. People have been talking about that. But if you go back just 2 years ago, according to The Verge, Klarna was valued at $46 billion. Last year, they were valued at closer to $8 billion.
Huh.
So, I mean, they're not by any means a slam dunk, even though they've become quite popular. Klarna, by the way, has been around since 2005.
Wow.
It's been around almost as long as Napster, basically. Except, you know, they've maybe survived the era quite a bit better.
Yeah, it seems like it.
Yeah, they started to take on a lot of venture capital a few years ago. And then once sort of profitability became more popular than like just growth, I think is when its valuation started to go down. So it needs these partnerships.
Sure.
The knock against it has been like, well, yeah, this is great and all, but if you're just an average person who likes to shop at Walmart or, you know, order McDonald's on DoorDash, then what's the point? But now it's like, okay, here's the point. They've now partnered with these big brands.
Sure. Yeah. And I mean, Klarna seems to have gained a ton of traction during the pandemic. And they're kind of at the tail end of that, which they're not necessarily needed as much as they once were, but they are still trying to your point, kind of get into everybody's lives via these companies and via these checkout options. And that seems like the new way that they're trying to take their business model. I think that would really explain the drop off from like the 46 billion amount you talked about to like the 8 billion we're seeing right now, is that they're not exactly necessary, but kind of like credit cards, they can amount to some serious problems and some serious debt if people aren't careful.
For sure. And there's a lot of debate out there of how good or bad buy now, pay later apps are. And frankly, I think that there's some really good evidence on both sides. The negative implications are obvious. You buy now, and then when it's time to pay later, you don't have enough money.
Sure.
And it's just one more way for people to fall into debt. Certainly that does happen. I wasn't able to find any data on like the US, but according to the Financial Times, something like 25% of buy now, pay later users have been charged late fees, i.e. that means that they were not able to actually pay up when it was time to pay up.
Yeah.
So, but on the positive side, Klarna, for instance, if you're doing the installments thing, they aren't charging you like high interest rates, like a payday loan or something like that after a few weeks. What they do is they charge late fees, and then you would also get an overdraft fee from your account, of course, which can be damaging. And, according to The Verge, Klarna also does not report to credit agencies, like when you do fail to pay. So it doesn't necessarily go on someone's like credit record, at least.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, the good thing about it, on top of all that, from maybe not being quite as predatory as, payday loans, clearly, is that you can use it to buy big things.
Yeah.
If you've saved up for something but don't quite have enough and you can in the future, you can make that bigger purchase that you really want. And I do think that is constructive.
Yeah, I do think that's constructive as well, especially for like these larger items like a TV or something like that.
Yeah.
But when you talk about DoorDash, that I think is the reason that there's so many people up in arms about this randomly, is because DoorDash, a $35 purchase, like who's going to pay that in installments? But I'm sure there is somebody that wants to and will now do that.
Oh, yeah. And when you're talking about buying like a bicycle, that takes like some sort of like premeditation.
Right.
I mean, it can still be an impulse, but like you're planning at least a little bit, I think, when you're really making a big purchase. But if you're buying dinner, it's just like, oh man, I'm hungry. And so therefore, I'm going to use Klarna because I don't feel as though I can pay it all off right now. I mean, it just feels borderline dystopian, frankly.
Yeah.
When you really look at the possible negative implications of this, I think DoorDash has pointed out in some of the articles I've seen that, it's not like they just sell food anymore. DoorDash also does like bigger goods, like shoes.
Yeah, that's right.
Whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So it might not be people, using this for Jimmy John's. They might just be using it for shoes or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, listen, Mark, if you think DoorDash orders aren't premeditated all day, then you have never met my wife. But yes, agreed. There are a lot of other options that you can order from DoorDash. So I do see this as kind of a weird moment. It's not necessarily bad, not necessarily good, but it's just kind of an in the middle, like, okay, I guess that's an option now. But it does make me feel bad about our current state of the economy.
Yeah, and keep in mind also, this January, Americans' credit card balance reached a record level of $1.2 trillion.
Wow.
So debts are at an all-time high already, and now you have this coming, where it's easier to go into, like, I would call this something like micro debt.
Yeah, sure.
You can get more and more micro debts the more that Klarna and these other buy now, pay later apps are available.
Yeah, that's true. And then that starts a borrowing cycle that nobody wants. So,
Yep.
Yeah. Geez. Well, have fun ordering your next DoorDash, Mark.
Yeah, right. Exactly. I'm going to go all out.
Yeah,
because now I don't have to pay for it all at once.
All right, and that'll do it for us today. Thanks for tuning in to the Hustle Daily Show. We're a proud part of HubSpot Media. Our editor is Robert Hartwig. Our executive producer is Darren Clark. We've got a ton more stories in our newsletter. If you're not subscribed, go sign up at thehustle.co/email and follow us on Instagram at The Hustle Daily. We'll see you tomorrow. Hey, everybody. I've been listening to this awesome podcast lately. You know it. You love it. My First Million, hosted by Sam Parr and Sean Puri, is brought to you by the HubSpot Podcast Network, the audio destination for business professionals. My First Million features famous guests like Alex Hormozi, Sophia Amoruso, and Hassan Minaj, sharing their secrets on how they made their first $1 million and how to apply their learnings to capitalize on today's business trends and opportunities. Talk about somebody that's really in the now. They had on Mr. Beast recently, and Mr. Beast talked about his origin story and how he made his first $1 million and how you can make anything go viral if you really try to do it, which is a great listen. So I would definitely recommend checking it out. You can catch all the recent episodes whenever you want, and you can listen to My
First Million wherever you get your podcasts.